Hi, so today I'm gonna walk you through how you can go about ventilating a pre-made lace front. And this is just a skill that's really helpful to kind of elevate your cosplay, especially if you are doing someone who has a really natural hairline, like a character from Game of Thrones, or something that you want to look really realistic. And as you know, sometimes characters will have different unique hairlines, things like a widow's peak or sideburns, and most oftentimes lace fronts that you buy from Amazon or from a wig store won't have things like that built in. So this is just a really helpful technique to kind of really give that extra oomph to your costume. You're gonna need a couple things to do this. You're gonna need a lace front wig. If you can, try to find one that has a lot of lace like this. It's a lot easier to do it if it has a lot of lace, but if it doesn't, it's still possible. Ideally, when purchasing a lace front, try to find a lace that's close to your skin color, because this is what's going to give it that like really natural look. You're also going to want some extra hair. You can either buy extensions that are the same color, or sometimes if you have a really unique color in your wig, what you can do is you can take a piece of weft out of the back of it. Depending where your style is or what kind of hairstyle you're doing with it, you can take hair from the wig itself, but you will need some loose hair. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a friction pen, a ventilating needle, and a ventilating needle holder. So the needle is this part and the holder is this handle. You're going to need some regular straight pins, and you'll need a couple ball-headed pins, and you'll need a wig head. I'm using a cork wig head, but you can do this on a styrofoam wig head as well if you have that easier on hand. Really quick before we get started, I want to talk about lace and the different kinds of lace there are. So the lace that's on the wig that I'm going to be working on for this video is called a Swiss lace. It's the finest kind of lace you can get, which means the holes in it are really small. This is a stage lace, so it's a little bit wider. You won't find this on most wigs that you purchase from Amazon. This is another example of Swiss lace, but Swiss lace that's been dyed, so you can see if I put them side by side which one has bigger holes. And then this lace is called cap lace, which is lace that's used to make a full cap, so basically like the whole wig, and you ventilate into this if you're making a completely lace wig. Almost no wigs will have a full lace cap. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put the wig on your head, and you're going to want to mark out where you want to add extra hair. But basically you'll just put the wig on your head like you would put a wig on, and you'll take your friction marker and you'll draw where you want your hair to be. So now I'm going to go over how you block a wig. Blocking a wig is basically just when you put it on the head and pin it all down so that you can ventilate on it. So you just need a head. This head is really lopsided, and there's not a good center line because you can see kind of how crooked it is. In an ideal world, you would want your head to have a center line so that you can center your wig on it. So you're just gonna put the wig on it like you would put it on a head. And once you have it on there and it's in kind of like a pretty good spot, make sure that where you're going to be ventilating is smooth and flat. If you're putting hair here, you want to make sure that when your wig is on the head that this area is smooth and flat. If you're doing hair here, you want to make sure this area can be smooth and flat. So once you have that, take your headed pins, the ones that have little balls on them, and put them where the hair wefts start. And do this in a couple like key places around the head. Okay, and now we're going to actually pin our lace down. Since I'm not ventilating any of this part of the hairline, I'm actually going to use headed pins for that part as well. I'm just going to put a couple along the hairline and a couple at the edges here. So as you can see now, I've put a couple pins here. This is just creating tension so that my lace is laying smooth. And now I'm going to take my regular straight pins and I'm going to kind of outline around where I'm going to be ventilating. I like to leave a decent amount of space because, like I said, lace is pretty delicate, but also as you're ventilating, you might find that you want to move the hairline in and out and you don't want to have to compete with your pins. And then you just gradually fill in the space. And then after I've done that, I like to take my scissors and I like to just make sure all of my pins are really, really flush to the surface. You do that, Repeat it on the other side if you're doing ventilating on the other side. It's the same process if you're doing a widow's peak or anything else. Just follow your line, leave a little bit of space so that you're not competing with your pins. And that is how you block. So just to show you the technique, I'm going to use a piece of thread and this cap lace so that you can see on a larger scale what exactly it is that I'm doing. So you're going to take your hair, but in this case it's a piece of thread, and you're going to loop it and make a little loop, and you're going to pinch it between your fingers really, really tight so that you can get tension. And then you're going to stick your needle underneath one of the holes in the lace. You're going to grab your hair, you're going to pull it back under, so it's like under the hole, and you should see like a little check mark type of thing happening. You're going to wrap around, flip your needle over, catch it, and then pull it back through that hole. So it's kind of like tying a rug. If you've ever seen those like Michael's crafts where you tie a little, you make a little loop and you pull the ends through to tie a rug, it's exactly the same as that. It's just on a really, really small scale. I'm gonna do it one more time so you can see it again. You're gonna make a loop. You're gonna go under one of the holes in your lace. You're gonna put tension on it. I like to use my middle finger for that. You're gonna pull it back under. You're gonna make a little check mark with it. See the little check mark? You're gonna turn the needle so that it's facing towards you. Put the thread in that little divot that it has. Flip it over and pull it through. And you kind of have to like, sometimes you don't get it on the first try, so that's a good example. You just kind of have to wiggle it through and then pull it all the way through. And then the ends are what's going to be your hair. It can be really challenging at first to get the hang of this, but I promise you once you get it, it is so easy, it becomes mindless. So what I recommend you do is when you get your wig, you'll have your wig, right? And it'll have extra lace on it, is you take a piece of your extra lace, usually from like here, about this much, and you block it onto your head, which I'm about to show you how to do. I'm about to show you how to block it. And you just practice ventilating on it with extra hair until you really get the hang of it, and then you can move on to your wig. Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple examples of how you actually do ventilating with hair. So with this, I just take a little piece of hair, about this much. I'm doing a really short turnover on this because it's sideburns and they're pretty close, pretty short, close to the skin. I'm going to take this piece of hair. I'm going to pull out any little loose flyaways. I'm going to get rid of my extra hair, move it to the side. I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to cut it in half approximately because that's about how much length I need. I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to take this longer piece, and actually this might be too much hair, so I'm going to actually split it in half. I'm going to make my little loop like this, like so. I'm going to find a hole. I'm going to tie a knot. Ta-da! You basically just continue to do that until you fill in the space. It can be somewhat time consuming, but what I like to do is I like to just put on like a podcast or a TV show and just go for it. Couple notes on directionality of hair. You tend to pull the hair away from you in the direction that you want the hair to look like it's growing. So if I want the hair to grow this direction, I'm going to pull the needle away from it. The other thing is density. So you don't actually, especially on something like sideburns or on a widow's peak, need a lot of knots. Because your hair's not really thick right there, right? You don't, I mean, it might be, but usually it's not. There's a couple other things that you might want to know about. There's different sizes of ventilating needles. The bigger the needle, the more hair you'll get, and the bigger knot you'll get. So ideally, in a perfect world, you'd have a really small needle to do the edges of things, so that the hair that you're getting there is only a single hair. I don't recommend this for beginners because it's really hard to ventilate with a really small needle. The reality is that for cosplay, it doesn't actually make that big of a difference since we're not trying to be on a film set. I recommend starting with a size 2 needle. Those are the best because they're big enough that you can learn the ropes pretty easily, but they're small enough that if you want to do something kind of fine, you can teach yourself to only grab a single hair. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, this is a finished wig that I've done that I ventilated. It's a little bit messy because I have worn it a couple times, and so it's got glue and hairspray and other things on it. But you'll have something that looks kind of like this. When you do finally cut the lace on your wig, you want to leave a decent chunk of lace I see this happen a lot because most commonly lace wigs are worn by black women and they're meant to be worn for long periods of time. And so they will actually cut the lace super, 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 super close to the hair. You do not want to do this as a cosplayer because it will actually destroy the longevity of your wig. So if you really want a wig to last a long time, make sure you leave a decent amount of lace around the outside so that as the lace frays, which you can see here, you can cut it off and get a little bit closer each time so that your wig lasts you a little bit longer. And you can see in this photo how it looks on at the end of the day. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you guys try applying this to some of your costumes in the future.